Hey, well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whatever time it is that you're tuning in with me. I am Mr. Schenkel with Mr. Schenkel's Remote Scholars. As I start off each video each day, I'd like to start off with my Remote Scholars learning expectations. So let's dive right in. So, Schenkel Scholars Remote Learning Expectations. We're going to have fun learning. We're going to read. We're going to embrace this change that we're going through in our world. We're going to display integrity throughout the entire process. We're going to continue to learn regardless of where that takes place, whether we're at home or family members, whether we're out of town, whether we're in our backyard, our basement, wherever it is, we're going to continue to learn, and we are going to smile the entire way through. So, again, I am Mr. Schenkel with Mr. Schenkel's Remote Scholars. Um, Today we are going to be reading, we've been reading for the last several weeks now, this chapter book called Wildfire by Rodman Philbrick. And today we are going to be jumping into chapter 18, It's a Girl Thing. And I've already received some emails from some scholars who are excited trying to use our strategy of prediction to figure out what they believe or what they predict is going to happen next based on clues from the text. So I won't hold you in suspense much longer. I do want to just remind us of the strategy synthesizing, okay? A synthesis. And so when you synthesize, a wise reader always combines what they already know with new information to create a better understanding. Let me say that again. A wise reader combines what they already know with new information to create a new understanding. And so when you synthesize, you put those pieces of the puzzle together, those connection pieces where you're able to connect some things that are going on in the story. You're able to predict, you're able to visualize, you're able to infer. When you put all those together, it's that big picture, that whole piece, that complete puzzle is synthesizing, okay? And so let me give you an example. In this book, we know that we've been able to learn and connect that Sam is he went to camp because his father passed away and his mother is in rehab. Okay. We know that there's something going on with Delphine as for why she went to camp. She calls it fat camp. And we're not sure why or what led her to camp. She hasn't really opened up a lot to Sam, but we know that she is also in the camp. We know that both of them were at camp for different situations. They were caught alone in the woods running away from this wildfire when they ran into each other, right? We know that Delphine's leg is hurt. We still don't know why or how. So these are pieces that we're able to put together, though. We're able to find out that something happened to Delphine that caused her leg to be hurt, right? We also know that the two of them don't know a lot about each other, but one thing I can infer is that they trust one another already. And though the author hasn't told us that in the book, we can tell, for one, because they're continuing to go on this journey and this path together to safety, right? We know that they have been talking and sharing a little bit about themselves with each other. So you only do that with people you trust, right? So taking things that I've learned from this book, that's part of that synthesizing piece. I'm able to put those pieces of the puzzle together to even be able to make that inference that they trust each other and they're working on this journey. But we also know that something traumatic has happened to Delphine that has her hurt, right? Why she calls it fat camp? Why is she using a stick? Because her leg is hurt. We're going to find out, but I don't want to hold you off any longer in suspense. Let's jump right in. Today I'm going to be working on just reading naturally, right? We know natural, fluent readers read as if they're having a conversation with someone, right? And so that's what I want to practice today. That's the strategy that I'm going to work on. So, chapter 18, It's a Girl Thing. So, before I do that, let me tell you, remembering yesterday's chapter, remember they were flying through the woods in the Jeep, right? And they jammed on the brakes and they started to skid sideways. Sam lost control of the Jeep. The wheels hit the ruts and the wrong way, and they were all of a sudden flying through the air, right? So it doesn't tell us, but again, we can infer. It sounds like they got into a really bad car accident. Let's find out. By rights, we should have been dead. You heard me right. We should have been dead. In a forest filled of sharp branches and big rocks, we somehow flung into a thick patch of soft ferns. I land right on my back, hard enough to knock the breath out of me. I turn over onto my hands and my knees, gasping for air. I look up, and 10 feet away, deep in the ferns, I see Delphine, with her eyes wide open, staring in amazed confusion. What happened? She asked. Moose. That's all I can manage to say. I mean your Jeep. I thought it was going to land on top of us. I crawl out of the ferns onto the logging road, and I can't believe my eyes. The Jeep is on its side, undercarriage exposed, leaning against a tree, one tire still spinning. Delphine's right. If the tree hadn't been there to block the truck, the vehicle may have killed us both. The moose is gone, vanished back into the woods somewhere. Delphine limps over, puts a hand on my shoulder. I'm so sorry. I know that Jeep was like your friend or something. I don't know what to say. If we don't have the Jeep, how are we going to escape this fire? How are we going to find our way back to civilization? It's not like firefighters are on their way to save us or anything. Delphine cautiously approaches the Jeep. You think it's totaled? She asks. I don't know. I just feel helpless at this point. Glass from the shattered headlights and the smashed windshield are scattered across the ground. Other than that, the Jeep looks more or less in one piece, except, again, it's leaning against a tree. Canned goods and water jugs have been thrown in the underbush. I gather them up while I try to figure out what's going to happen next. Meanwhile, Delphine finds herself a new walking stick and then snags her backpack from the leaning Jeep. She perches on to the old stump and starts winding the charger on the radio. Then aims the antenna around, holding the signal. Uh-oh, the signal is stronger than it was last time. Your WRPZ host, Fat Freddie Bell, high on top of the lowest official mountain in the great state of Maine. Wish I had better news, but the fact is, things are getting worse. In the early morning hours, wildfire erupted in the vicinity of the remote situated in Piney Pond, and quickly engulfed hundreds of acres, cutting off power to the corner of the county. We're on the backup generator now, which is enough to fuel for just a few days. I'm planning on sticking it out and making these reports in hopes that it will help. If anybody, I mean anybody listening. Phone lines are down too, so I can't be sure if anyone's actually listening. But if you are listening, here's something you need to know. Satellite images indicate that the Piney Pond fire was probably arson. Hard to believe there's someone out there angry enough, or evil enough, or let me just say stupid enough, to deliberately start a fire in the tender, dry forest. But what do I know? I tell you this much, it's getting personal. I can see fire and smoke from the radio station, miles away, but moving into my direction now. And you know the weird thing? I never thought of a fire being alive, but it sure looks like it's living and breathing. Except it's breathing flames instead of air. Woo-wee! Forecast says there's a chance of thunderstorms later in the day. Sure hope they're right, because boy, oh boy, do we need rain here in Maine. The sound fades out, turning to static. Delphine stares at me and the little radio. I can't believe it. We were there, Sam. We were right there watching those two little creeps starting a fire. Hundreds of acres, out of control, and nobody knows who did it but us. We don't know who did it. Well, not really, except we know they were guys on dirt bikes. Young guys with long faces and blonde beards, tattoos on their arms. Are you serious? All I saw was bikes. You must have eyes of an eagle. You noticed the bikes, but I noticed the boys. And she smiled. It's a girl thing. I make a pile of canned goods, sorting them for nourishment. There's only so many we can carry if we're on foot, and we'll have to make them count. What's the plan? Delphine wants to know, limping over to inspect the cans. We have to keep moving. If those dirt bikers come this way, we're toast. The same if the fire comes. We're toast either way. So we gotta get to safety. Do what you have to do. I'll do what I have to do, but I'm not walking. You see this swollen ankle? The more I walk, the worse it gets. There's only one thing to do. One thing that makes sense. What's that? Fix the stupid Jeep. How? She grins very wide. We do what the Greeks do. Ha. So you want to know what the Greeks do? Well, join me here tomorrow and you'll find out what Greeks do to get this Jeep fixed. Chapter 19 is called Sort of Lost. Sort of Lost. This is getting very interesting. Who's lost? Are they lost? Well, we know that they're lost, but so what's happened that makes them feel like they're sort of lost? Because we already knew that they were lost in the beginning, so something more must have taken place, and now I can't wait to figure out what it is. Join me here tomorrow, and we will continue Wildfire Chapter 19. Thank you guys who've been joining in and doing it. This is just a fun time to get our minds off of things while still practicing those reading skills that we need daily to help us become fluent readers and understand what it is we're reading. I hope and I pray that my strategies are helping you guys because I'm doing it out of my kindness of my heart because I really want to make sure that you're still continuing to learn, and I want to continue not only to be an educator but to learn on side of you because I too am a Schenkel scholar. Thank you guys for joining in today. I will see you tomorrow. Remember, you are somebody, and Mr. Schenkel believes in you. Until then, see you tomorrow.